Everybody here is here because you love motorcycles. That's the whole point. We love motorcycles, and most everybody here is because you appreciate the long and varied history of motorcycling. I'm one of the most fortunate people in the world because I grew up in a family of total motorcycle lunatics. My dad, Reggie, was the first man to import foreign motorcycles to this country back in the mid-20s, and he was a strong spokesman for the sport of motorcycling, to ride, to participate in everything that you could. Off-road riding, long-distance riding, hill climbing, racing. He was involved in all of it, and that's how he bred our family. My older brother, Doug, is here. He had a very successful scrambles career in enduro riding. My older brother, first brother, Don, was very famous within the sport. He won the Jack Pine 500-mile enduro. He had gotten fourth at the Daytona 200 shortly after World War II on the old hand-shift WRs. My sister Donna is here. She rode when she got out of high school, and she raised a wonderful family of motorcycle enthusiasts, Chris and Jason and her husband Mike. The sport has been so good to all of us, and we've enjoyed it tremendously. I've been fortunate in that I've had a long career, starting with riding trials and enduros back on the old two-stroke Harleys in the late 50s. And I moved on to the 250cc Sprint models, which were a modern motorcycle for us back in 1960. The first fast motorcycle I ever rode. My passion was for the Grand National Championships. The guys that rode the AMA flat tracks and road races, Daytona and the Springfield Mile and those things. That's who I wanted to be. And I was so lucky that I had a family. My brothers, the Crotona Motorcycle Club, which my father was a founding member of and promoted tremendously. That gave me access to so many people with experiences on becoming a young man, not just a kid, on all the different types of riding and the different techniques you could use to ride a motorcycle. So over the years, I had my brothers, my father, and all these other people feeding me information and making me ready to go and become a pro racer. My dream was to ride with guys like Gary Nixon and Bart Markle and Mert Lowell and those superstars of their day. And I was very, very fortunate to have the opportunity of working my way through the scrambles and the TT races in New York and Pennsylvania to where I finally did go pro and race with those guys. Over my riding career, I won 6 #1 plates and different classes. And I won 2 regional championships where they divided the country into West, Central, and East. And I won 2 championships for the AMA, usually on the big Harleys, the 750 XRs, the old flathead KRs that some of you guys might know, back when dirt tracking was rigid frames, flathead engines, no brakes on the motorcycle. So you got out there and you run it wide open, and you just had to pitch it down and hold the throttle on and wrestle it through the turns. That was just the best thing you could do on a motorcycle. My brothers did not go as far in the pro ranks as I did, but that's only because they had to take care of business. And while they were taking care of business, I could go play. And it was a great time. I had a ball. The Harleys were terrific motorcycles. They have a great power delivery and control, and a lot of fun to ride. A lot of my friends and the competitors I rode with rode on Triumph and BSA so many of those years, and it always kind of touched me that my dad was the guy that brought those darn things into the country. And now I hear I got to go out and chase them. It was fun. It was definitely fun. I'm very, very appreciative that you've all come out and keep the spark of motorcycling alive. I like to think that every day is somebody's first day in motorcycling. This is the good old days for somebody just starting. It's not winding down. It's not getting old. The bikes built today are going to be the vintage bikes someday. And We have to remember that and make sure that everybody has the love of riding and a love of camaraderie that we can all share through this sport. Most of the people that I know, and most of my livelihood has come through motorcycling. The fact that I could get an opportunity to go out and race at such a high level, race with the greats like Dick Mann and Mike Halewood and Cal Rayburn and Kenny Roberts, it just blows my mind. I can't believe that all of that happened. But it did. Unfortunately, my championships ended when I got to the expert class as a pro, and I kind of traded in trophies for Band-Aids and casts most of the time. My wife had to put up with all of that. Carol, she was there keeping me going. Thank you. Nothing harder in this world than to be a racer's wife. And she did it great for a long time, 20 years. If you've ever seen the movie On Any Sunday, you should know that that's my home movies. Those were the days when I was racing with those guys, Mert Lowell and Nixon and such, and Gene Romero. We had some great racing. There are so many individual stories that I could tell you about the hard times that are more interesting than talking about wins. For example, we went out to Indianapolis, guess it was '69, with a KR, and had a great running bike and qualified well. We get out there in the first round, the heat races, to get the starting position, and I'm running up there in the front and top 4 or 5, and the exhaust pipe breaks. So we come in and we wire it up, go back out, and it turns out that I qualified for the main event, but I had to start on the back row, and who was next to me on the back row but Dick Mann, the greats of all time. He was one of those guys who could ride anything. Short track, half mile, mile, TT, anything. He'd beat you in a swimming contest if you wanted to. We took off. We get about 6-7 laps into the race, and I take a big flyer and crash. Tear myself up pretty good. Race was all done, and group of guys that went out with me to Indy, my brother Doug and all, we go back to the hotel and we have a bite to eat. I'm just bleeding all over the place, and my hips half gone, and my elbow and wrists are all gone, and we have to drive back 15, 18 hours back to New York. One of my buddies that went with me, all of a sudden he disappears. Where's Tony? He goes and rents a room. We go to find him, and he's in there, and he's just in terrible pain. And as it turned out, he had a kidney stone attack. So now we have to call the hospital to get an ambulance to the track. Police and the ambulance drivers show up at the hotel room, and they come running in. You know, I'm laying on one bed, and blood's all over the place, and I'm all bandaged up. And they run to me and try and get me in the ambulance. I said, no, I'm fine. It's the other guy. Yeah, I'm serious. The other guy, something's wrong. He's got to go to the hospital. So took him to the hospital, and he had to stay over and fly back later. My brother Doug and I, after got them to leave me alone, we got in this '67 Camaro, which is a real comfortable car to drive across the country in. I didn't say racers are smart. Oh, we drive a couple hours, we're exhausted, fall asleep for an hour, get in the car, drive some more. We're halfway back on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. Doug pulls over, he's got to go to the bathroom. Well, that's fine. Now, you stop in the rest area, and he wakes me up. Now I got to go to the bathroom. So he jumps out of the car, and I go to jump out, and I find, all his blood and that had stuck to the seat, those vinyl seats. Now I'm stuck in the car. I finally had to just pull it loose to go to the bathroom. Now I'm bleeding all over again. So everything was just a mess. By the time we got home, needless to say, it was like a 24-hour drive. My buddy who we left at the hospital beat us home. He flew home ahead of us after they got his kidney stone fixed. And that's the kind of stuff that happens to you when you're traveling around with these guys. There have been so many stories like that where the racing is only a part of it. It's the things that happen to you and the experiences that are real fun or not.